Let me introduce myself first. I'm Wade, and this is my wife sitting over here, Deanne Ebersole. We are with Ethnos 360, formerly New Tribes Mission. We were in Papua New Guinea for, well, about 30 years. Since we've come down, and we're with New Tribes, and called Homes Retirement, chaplain there with all these people that from way back went to the mission field and thought they would, with the attitude back then in the churches and so forth, when they left to go to the mission field, they thought that they would die with their boots on, never come back. Things didn't work out that well just because of missions and philosophy and so forth. And these folks are back and they're facing life totally different, like a brand new, exciting thing with the Lord, as they're facing life totally different as they headed out for the mission field. Deanne and I were in Papua New Guinea. We had 2 kids, and they were both born overseas. Our daughter was born in Australia, because Dan was able to be able to go down there and have a little better birth there. And then our son was actually born in Papua New Guinea. So they were both born and raised over there. And so America to them was not their first home, so to speak. And the Lord has just been tremendously good. This whole conference and the theme of this conference of being community and grace in community, you know, you could just imagine yourself probably going just about any direction, because in the Christian life and in church and our relationships with each other, what is probably one of our biggest challenges, and that is really responding to each other how we should respond. And I have an interesting title to my topic, because we probably all should be able to say, yes, God's love is real. And so what do I mean by that? And I had some other ideas and some other thoughts probably led me to that, but I think the core from my heart really meant exactly what I said. To us as people, is God's love real? Or is it some other kind of love? Is it a love that's so far beyond us that we experience him passing that love through us from time to time, but his love, because of his holiness and his greatness and who he is, it just seems so different from us. But can we communicate to others around us God's love? Is it the kind of love that is real, that we know, we understand? So I'd like to talk about that, because it has everything to do with grace and community among us, and certainly out there in the world, that people would really know. Part of that, questions that I was writing down as I was thinking about it, is God distant? Is God just someone that is difficult? And yet, you know, I don't know how many right brains there are here or how many left brains, but you know, I have an older brother that I grew up with, that he was just one of these kind, you know, that his idea of love and being like even a father in relationship was, you took care of your children, you do everything right, you raise them right, you give everything they need. And somehow there just seems to be something that there's just no drawing attachment to. Somebody that just never really is relational in that sense. Can we say that about God? I think for a lot of people, we have that experience because quite often we relate to our Heavenly Father like we were related to with our earthly father. So I think one of the greatest studies that we could have in our entire life is to know who God is at the core of his being, his person. that he is an emotional person who cares, has compassion, has feelings, is easily to be grieved. Can you imagine somebody that is holy and all gloriousness and is who he is, that yet at the core of his being is love? Isn't that powerful? I mean, it's powerful for us as believers because we can experience that, we can know that. I'd like to share a little bit of something about some of the things that happen on the field when people, like with our mission, you go through a training, you go to Bible school, then after 2 years of Bible school, then you go into a training program, and after the training program, then you go into a language school where you learn how to learn a language, and then you're off to the mission field. Through all that time, it's just drawing yourself more excitement about who God is and him in relationship to you. And how is it that when you would get to the field, that perhaps things would go wrong and you would leave? Not necessarily your fault. You know what I'm saying? They call that attrition rate. And I suppose the better meaning is the turnover. One example in the Bible is with Paul and Barnabas and John Mark when they went out in the mission field, and when they came back and they were heading out again, how many went back from the first team that went? 1 out of 3, huh? There was 3 of them. So we're going to figure that out and say who was wrong and all this stuff. You know what? The attrition rate just means the turnover. That's all. It doesn't say why or anything like that. The attrition rate going to the mission field is very high. And one of the most difficult things that New Tribes Mission has found over the years is the fact that we let these people go. And when they come back, we never find out where they went. In the last 15, maybe 20 years, the mission has decided this is not right. We need to find these people, we need to stay with them, and we need to support them, and we need to be there for them. And when I was on the field, I'm not loud enough, am I? Am I loud enough for everybody? Or is it just you? I mean, should I speak up?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have a microphone. I should have a microphone. I need a microphone. I can yell, but my voice just doesn't really carry that well, especially if my voice drops, right? Yes. Okay. So these people head to the mission field, and they get there. They're either disgruntled, they have struggles with leadership, and they certainly have a great problem in the tribe in learning the language and the people, the tribal people, and relationships and everything else that happens. So when we were in leadership on the field, we decided, you know what would really be tremendous among us that are leadership? One of us would just be a roving counselor, or one to go around and just be with everybody in every location. Find out where they are, what's happening to them, and build them up and keep them there. And if we need to pull them out for a little while, out to a main base, we need to do that, whatever it takes. That became a very real thing, and so much so that it even spread among all the locations that they would each support each other. I know for us, we were with the Lalongai people, and we were on this little tiny island, about as far, I suppose, as you could get anywhere in Papua New Guinea, away from anywhere. But there was another tribe that was close to us. And so we became really good friends with those missionaries there. They were the Shivleys. They became best friends. We mutually encouraged each other all the time. We were always there, supporting each other. And I remember when we were learning language through the early days, the tribal people there cut down their house posts. I mean, just those disastrous things that you just wonder, where is God? You know, why is this happening? And you know, that's where community is. And no matter where you are, if you're in America, nobody's going to probably cut the posts out underneath the house because the house isn't even on post probably. talk, the same language is still there, isn't it? And where are we a community in a church? We just meet on Sunday, or are we really there? Do we really know what's going on in each other's lives? Well, so for our partners, we were an hour away over the open ocean because they lived on a little island, we lived on a little island, and we had to travel by outboard motors. And we were just finishing up the third language check, and which is very difficult, as you can imagine. Learning a tribal language, it's an unwritten language. You're not learning from a school and getting everything, and you can possibly learn about their culture. It's a lot of work, very difficult. I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for my wife. And so anyway, here we are. We're facing our last language check. Somebody comes in, they use the local trade language to ask questions, and you share a story, you repeat the story back, and then the language checker comes in and he sees how well he asks you questions and so on. Stressful time, exciting time for us missionaries. For Phil, he was really, really worried, really scared, and he just was going down. But actually, all that really meant was another 6 months, another perhaps even year, that you would take the check again, language check again. So anyway, we had this little radio that we could actually communicate to. It wasn't the main base radio that we would communicate with the mission headquarters and stuff on the field, but we had this little tiny radio. The morning that this language checker was going to come in, do their check and then leave their place, come up to our place and do our check. I get a little, I was talking to him, and he was really stressed out. And this verse, it's the first time I really followed it into practical application. Not crazy, I don't know, but I knew I had to do this. The Romans, if you want to look at it sometime, just write the address down. It says to rejoice, but to rejoice. And weep with those who weep. I told Phil, I said, Phil, when you're done with the check, let me know. Because if you don't pass, you'll be weeping. But I want you to know, I will myself not pass. What I really knew, I looked at my wife, she thought I was absolutely crazy. My kids looked at me, well, you would do that? I mean, you would know so well, and you would know what it took to support them, that they wouldn't truly fall. That was told me to rejoice. Yeah. The greatest part of it, you know, that you would be there, you know, carrying things happen. But you know, when it comes to really and experiencing and seeing who God is for who He is at the core of His being, time people feel like God is one who is always really happy with you. I remember back when I was in a language school and I was heading for another class that I left my apartment. I was walking up over the hill and the classroom was right here. I come up to the top of the hill, something just went right across my forehead. It was God speaking to me. He said, wait, you'll never amount to anything. You are just kidding yourself. Shaking. Well, after writing here, me. You know, I find people in that. How many people know Rodney Zacharias? Yeah. He's just thousands of Christians. The single hardest act in my life, yet is the most reasonable, longest. Not knowing it or not living it, I think I'd ever do. And yet I think a lot of people in Christian community knowing really and desire to treat us. We have retirement, and we had this one mission right in that. Wrote it down. He said, I'm not really sure